Hey there, I hope this finds you doing well. I wanted to put together a little video to show you where we homeschool and kind of how we homeschool, some of the organization and systems that we've done. This is now our 5th year of homeschooling, and I have a 2nd grader, a kindergartner, and a preschooler. And I would say that we're pretty relaxed in our homeschooling. We run kind of a minimal sort of homeschool. We don't have a room that's specific for homeschooling. We primarily homeschool, if you can see behind me, at our dining room table. And I will show you some of the ways that I have organized things so you can kind of get a look for that. First, I'll take you on a tour of like what is our homeschool area. Okay. First, this is our kitchen. Usually, so I tidied up because I knew I was gonna make a video, but usually this stack, if anybody has organization tips for the paper, I would love any tips possible, because this stack of paper is usually spread all over that side of the counter. That's where the kids sit. They don't usually sit there when we do school. We usually sit at the table over there, but those papers go nuts. Anyway, for sake of the video, I tidied up so it looks nice and orderly, but usually this area right here looks like a massive bomb goes off. And that's what our home usually looks like all day, every day. Unless it's the weekend, and sometimes I tidy, or if we have guests coming and I tidy. But now we usually don't have many guests coming. Thank you, pandemic. So it usually looks pretty wild. Anyway, this is what my layout looks like. I have this sitting out throughout the week, and it stays in our kitchen because I noticed that I used to, at the end of a day, like pack it up and put it away and bring it back out and pack it up and put it away. And I was like, that's exhausting. So then I switched and started like, okay, it's staying out all week, and then I'll pack it up and move it away for the weekend. And even now, I kind of usually don't get around to doing that. So it usually is just a staple place. So if you have a place in your house that you can like leave stuff out for a little bit, it makes it convenient. This pile right here, this is usually like my pile. This has my calendar. It has, I usually keep like a list, an overall list of everything I just need to get done in life. And then this, I usually have this guy here. This is like a list for today. So I narrow down what is most important for today. Now this is not school related. This is like the other stuff beyond school. So this would be, I need to do laundry, or I need to like clean this or make this meal, or I have to fill out this form, or I have to, pay for this or do whatever it is. That's like my, okay, this has to get done today list. So this is kind of like my corner. Over here is the school corner. So this is where I have one binder right here, and I'm going to show you my other binders downstairs, but this is like the binder that I work off of. So I have one binder because I don't want it to take up too much space. I have lots of binders downstairs that are keeping everything else organized. In this binder, I like to put a little countdown right here of 36 weeks. And then it's so satisfying to cross off the weeks as we go. So we just finished our 3rd week of this year. And I have to start reporting or having an evaluation done for my daughter through our school district now that she's old enough. And so my plan, and you can see I put these little boxes down here. When we hit, like on the 1st week, I took samples of her work, and I can show you that either in another video. Maybe we'll see how long this one goes. So I took samples of her work on week 1, and I put it away in her portfolio. And I'm going to do that again on week 5, week 10, week 15, 20, 25, whatever. So by the end of the year, I have all of her work samples already in her portfolio, ready to go to our evaluator. And then I just put the square around that to remind me, because I know I like get super excited about checking this off. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, so what I do is when I hit week 5 here, I'm gonna come down here and cross this one off to show that I copied her work. So anyway, that's just one way that I'm gonna keep track of pulling aside her work for our portfolio. And then it's super fun to just like cross off a week when you get it done. I have like a hole punch in here because I'm always hole punching stuff. This right here, I keep this, I have these little like separators. They're kind of like plasticky, which are nice. And I wrote weekly plan on here. I actually put a piece of tape on it and wrote with permanent marker on top of that in case I have to like change these tabs up for some reason. I printed off this list. This is the attendance calendar for this year. We started in June. That's not typical for us, but we don't have a lot going on right now, so we just started early. So anyway, what I do is I print this off. I think I found this, just Google search 180 day, attendance blank calendar or something, and you'll find lots of options. So I found this one, which I liked. And so all I do is I mark down once we've done school for that day. And that way I keep track of it so I can make sure we're getting our 180 days in. In this binder, I keep things like, these are different, this says schedules. So these are different schedules that I have of stuff that we're working on. These are kind of like backup ones. My main ones that I operate are right here. So we actually use the Sunlight curriculum. So you're gonna see an example of that, but this could obviously work with any curriculum you're using if you have a schedule for what to do. So here is our history Bible literature. This says week 3. And basically I actually photocopy this from the instructor guide so that I don't mark up our instructor guide so I can reuse it with future kids. But so this is a photocopy and I've hole punched it to stick it in, and I just mark off. Like here we changed, we're not doing what the curriculum gave us for this one. We're doing the ology for our Bible. So we've been marking off when we do that, and I put an X on it if we're not doing it. Some of the stuff I just decide we're not gonna do, so I would do X's, and then I do check marks to show we've done these things, and then I put check marks over here to show like, okay, we're done with that. And this is for like the entire week. And then here's our science. And this one is our language arts for my kindergartner. This is one of our reading schedule for my second grader. This is her writing. So this one's week 1, 2, 3. So we just finished week 3. This is essentials in writing. That's what we're doing for her writing. So I have all of our schedules back to back to back here so I can keep an eye on them throughout the week. This one is handwriting for my second grader, handwriting for my kindergartner. And this is our maps. Or our geography. So I'm keeping track of like all of the places that we've looked at when we get our maps. And then I actually am marking it on our maps so that we can remember what places we've already like looked at and explored. Okay, so that is my schedule section. So now it starts week 4. So I know that seems like crazy a lot. And for me, this is tracking every single thing we do with the kids. And it helps me. So like when I know, okay, we're gonna focus on like our history Bible literature time now, then it's like I come to this one and I'm like, okay, what do we wanna work on? What do we wanna get done? And then I just always have this easily available. Usually it sits on this the whole week. And so I just rifle through it and work on getting stuff done. And I'm gonna jump over here now to explain this. I actually have 2 clipboards that I keep going at the same time. So this particular clipboard actually holds a schedule that I made. I used canva.com and I created this. And so this says HBL for our history Bible literature. And I wrote down Bible, history, read alouds, timeline, map. This is all stuff that is a part of our curriculum. And here's science, and with science there's reading, and then there's these like worksheets, and then there's experiments. And then I have each kid listed and their specific stuff, because my kids all do this stuff together, but this stuff they do individually. So here's language arts, and under her language arts she has English, essentials in writing, reading, phonics, and spelling. We haven't started her spelling program yet, and we haven't started his reading program yet, so I just slashed those out. But anyway, then they have handwriting and math, and I actually kind of write above it what pages we're doing, so that I set that up at the beginning of the year so that I don't have to look up what pages they're doing. I can just glance really quick. And so this helps me throughout the week because this gives me a zoomed out view. This was a huge addition. I think maybe school year 3 is when I started implementing this. And that has been super helpful for me because if I come over here and I look at this throughout the week, I'm super overwhelmed. If I come over here, I'm like, okay, these are all the boxes and they represent what we need to get done. So like we have, usually with math, there's usually 5 worksheets. So I have 5 boxes. Or like there's, like a front and back. There's 2 worksheets for her handwriting. So I put 4 boxes there. And so as soon as we get it done, I can cross it out. And this gives me like a bird's eye view of our week. And I can see, okay, where do I need to like finish for the week, or what else do we have left that needs to get done? So I really appreciated this. That's been a game changer for us. Also with this clipboard, here's, this is where this is like one of our maps. So when we look at places, I just pull this out and we look it up. And then I have over the years I've printed off some like counting charts and I've laminated them. So I just keep these in here in case we need them quick. So that's what's on this clipboard. But basically this clipboard is my overall schedule. This clipboard, every single week, I empty it out. Like I take everything off of it and I put all the brand new worksheets for the week on here. So I have the kids' handwriting. Now they've finished week 3, so these are all finished. The language arts for kindergarten is this. And then I have his math for kindergarten, all of his worksheets. There's science right there, that's a science worksheet. Her handwriting, all of her math worksheets. And that's basically it. So now that I'm done with week 3, what I will do is I'll take this clipboard downstairs with me, which I'll show you downstairs, and I will put all of this work away in its appropriate place in the binder, and I will go to all of the new worksheets, pull them for the week, and then I have everything I need right here on this clipboard. And so this is what I operate off of in the week. So it's not that cluttered, it's not too crazy. Before I used to have all the math workbooks and all of their like everything, the language arts workbooks, like all that stuff. And now I just am like, okay, it's all on one clipboard, and I just switch it out every week, and it just keeps things really, really simple. Now back to my little binder. This is a notes section. So this was my schedules. And like I said, I photocopy them. So you can see I've got week 4. I usually I photocopy all of my schedules. I print and I hole punch them, and I do that every 9 weeks. I don't want to do all 36 at one time because I feel like it would take forever. 9 weeks is really easy. And then it gives me a way to kind of celebrate. Like when we hit the end of 9 weeks, I'm like, yay, like we have to photocopy more, because it's like, we finished 9 weeks. That's a quarter of the year through. Way to go. So then it's just nice. So this is the little tab for notes with the Sunlight curriculum. This is the actual instructor guide. And with the instructor guide, it gives all these notes. And so I pull the week 3, the instructor guide with their notes, and I put that in a section here so that I can reference that, and I don't have to have my big Sunlight binder up here also. So I photocopy the schedule, but then I grab week 3's notes. So when the week is over, I move those notes back into the big binder, and I grab the next week's notes and I put it in this section. Here's timeline. With Sunlight, you get a timeline where you learn about history, so I've stuck that in there. Science cutouts. This is something that our science program with Sunlight, they have these little cutouts, so I have a section in my binder, so those are ready. And then the read alouds, they give you some questions with Sunlight, so I go ahead and put those in here that I can reference that. That's basically it. So that's what this binder is. This binder sits out all the time. Now, let's see, I'll take you over here. So over here, this is basically our homeschool. So this is, instead of having a homeschool room, this is where we operate off of right here. It's just that. So I have this, we do all about reading for phonics. So I have a little whiteboard here that has all these tiles on it for that. So that's what that is. And then I got this little guy from IKEA. Very simple. I put any like folders they have or notebooks, just like they've got a million coloring books. So those go in there. And then usually down here, it looks like this is overflow for coloring books, but I usually just have stacks of white blank paper here that they can grab at any time to use for coloring. Each kid has their own little case, and they all got their own like colored pencil box. They have skinny markers and thick markers and pencils. So they each have their own. We have a community sharing system over here, right there. But they use that. The scissors and the glue sticks go in there. But I found that it was much nicer for them each to have their own box, because then they're not fighting over stuff. And then I just put crayons here. This is where their like sharpeners are. We have these like little fun rulers, and that's basically it. And some extra markers. Then they each have like a notebook. This is specific. I sometimes teach them how to draw things. I'm not an artist, but we just have fun with it. We learned how to draw watermelons one day. So anyway, sometimes we watch YouTube videos and they draw off that. So those are their art books. So that just sits here. I think I got this basket probably from like the dollar store. Oh, there we go. So that sits here. They can just grab stuff whenever they want. Up here, this is where all of our school stuff is. So I grab and make sure we have every book we need for the week. So I check my list before the week starts, and I grab all of the books that we're gonna need, and I make sure they're up here so that everything that I need for the week is up here. I don't have to go downstairs. I don't have to like look somewhere else. We have everything we need. So I do keep, let's see, like here's our all about reading stuff. We've got our essentials in writing like book, and then all of our Sunlight books and all about reading. And then what I did, which I'm going to show you, where is it? Especially for my daughter, my kindergartner, he doesn't seem to be as motivated by this yet, but I think as he gets older, he will. For my daughter and for him, I set up binders for them as well. Let's see. Okay, so here's an example. Well, we haven't quite marked up week 3 yet, but here's an example of week 3. So what happens is she gets to come, and if you recall, over on my clipboard over there, I had the section that had the joint stuff my kids do together. The history, Bible, literature, and the science, they do those stuff together. And then one of my kids had a section here, and one of my kids had a section here. So all I did was I took that same document, I copy pasted it, and I deleted my son's stuff, and I spread out my daughter's on the bottom. And then I copy and pasted my original document again, deleted my daughter's stuff, and spread out my son's stuff and printed stuff for him. And I go ahead and I print 36 copies of it, and I stick it in a binder for her, and I wrote the week's number on it, and it's blank. And this has been really motivating for her because she can track as we go and cross off what we've done. And so she knows what she has left to get done. So I think it kind of makes her feel like she kind of has a, like, not that she has, I don't know, like she's got some skin in the game a little bit because, or no, that's not the right phrase I'm looking for. Basically, it's not just me who knows what's going on. She also knows. So I can say, well, you know, what do we have left that we need to get done? And I think it also helps her and motivates her because she has something to check off too. I love checking things off. And so I think she likes checking it off too. And so that's just something that we've done and implemented. So each kid has their own binder so they can track their work. Okay. So that is this section over here. I'm just going to show you this other little section here. This is our library. This is our library. This is where all of our library books go. So we try to have like library books that the kids can be reading. Okay, I'm going to take you downstairs and show you the rest. Okay. All right, here is our downstairs bookshelf. This is just like right here in our basement. I have right here is this year's stuff. So I have last year's stuff is here. This is this year's. Again, this is with Sunlight. This is P34 over here. P45 is over here. So, and eventually I'll fill up that one with our next one. And eventually I'll box up one and put it away so that I probably will have 4 shelves dedicated to homeschool, and I'll just keep rotating them out as we get older and don't need access to the older ones. So here's where I keep all of our books. This is all that we're going to be reading this year. And usually when I finish a book, I put it on the left side. Like here are the workbooks. So when I finish a book, I'm going to stick it here. So eventually the books that we read will be on the left, and it also gives me a visual like ability to see what we have left in the year. This is all the kids' handwriting, their math. I just put workbooks on this side. I put rest of the books here. This is our all about reading books. And this is the Monster Sunlight binder that came with Core B. And so I'll just give you a glance inside of that for anyone who is using Sunlight. This is what it's set up like, and it has 36 tabs. This might help explain some of the stuff I was saying up top. Oops, I did accidentally mark up that one. So here's week 4. So this is the official one. This is the one I usually don't mark up. And it comes with notes. And then, so what I do, like I said, is I'll pull week 4 out. So like right now, week 3 is not in here because week 3 is upstairs in my binder upstairs. When I'm done with the week, I'll bring week 3 back. I'll stick it in here and I'll grab week 4. At the beginning of the year though, I sit and I photocopy all 9 weeks so that I don't have to do that. So Those are photocopied and they're hole punched. I actually got this hole punch this year. It's like huge. I forget where I got it. I think maybe Target for like $11 or something. That was a great buy because I can like plow through all of the hole punching now, which I used to do like page by page. Okay. This one is Lena, 2nd grade. This is where I'm keeping her work. So I have one binder for Lena and one binder for Riken. And these are either 2.5 or 3-inch binders. I can't remember. I have those same, I bought like tons of dividers. I have these dividers. Again, I put like a little piece of tape and I wrote with permanent marker her schedules. So this is where I have week 1 through 9 upstairs, and I have week 10 through 36 down here waiting for me right there. And then when I'm done, so this is all under schedules. Yeah, so I have all the new schedules waiting for me. When I'm done with one, let's see, like here's the photocopied ones that I finished. This was week 1. When I'm done with those, I take them out of my binder from upstairs. I bring them down and I store them here in this binder. And I'm just storing all of this in Lena's binder rather than Riken's, just because I needed to pick who I was going to store it in. So here's language arts. So when she has some samples in writing, I'm going to be putting them in here under language arts. We have handwriting. So here's like a sample of her handwriting. We have her science, which I just put our science in her binder, but this is something that both kids end up doing. This is all the worksheets that Sunlight gave. So when I need to grab our science worksheets for the next week, this is where they are. And then once we've finished it, I put it in the back. So eventually all of the new ones get taken up and they're filled up with all of the used ones. And I have or I should say all the completed ones. And then I hold on to them and store them so that we have them. And then here's her math. So when she finishes her worksheets, we stick them in here. And you know what? I just realized I said that when she does some handwriting, we'll put a sample of handwriting in here. That's not what I meant. When she gets done with anything language arts related, it will go in here. This is just our binder to keep all of their stuff. And same with Riken. He has his own binder. Same thing for kindergarten. So here's his schedule because he has his own language arts schedules. So I keep his schedules in here. And he has all of his language arts worksheets. So that's where I keep them. And when I'll pull it for the next week, I'll come down and grab the ones he's working on and bring them up. And then when he's done with his language arts, they're also going to go in the back. I put his finished ones in the back of that stack. He has a handwriting section where I keep all of his handwriting. And he also has a math section where I keep all of his math. And that's all his binder has. The last thing I wanted to show is the portfolio. If you're having to, if you have to report on one of your kids to your school district, you're going to need a portfolio. What I recommend doing is, so this one is Lena's. I recommend finding out who you want to evaluate your students and get in touch with them and ask them what exactly do they need to do your evaluation, and then build your portfolio based on what they need. So I had a conversation with my evaluator. She's amazing. And she told me exactly what she wants to see. So I here set up another binder. I have a language arts tab. And like I said, every 5 weeks, I'm going to be taking samples of her work. So this was week 1. I just took a photocopy of the work and I stuck it in here, hole punched it. I have an example of her week 1 math, her week 1 handwriting, week 1 science worksheet. This is our map section. I told you that I'm keeping track and putting like a permanent marker on a map to show, I photocopied a map and then I'm like writing it on it. I laminated it and I'm like putting permanent marker dots to show what we discussed with her maps with geography. So that's her kind of geography section. Reading, this is a tab right here and this one's not filled out, but I have started a list on my phone through Google Sheets, and it's going to list out every single like book we read with our homeschooling curriculum and the date that we completed it. And so that's going to go on my book list. So when that's done, I'm going to print out that list and I'll just build to it throughout the year. So it's real easy. I just have to print it at the end of the year. So we'll have a list of all of the books that were read. And then this one is adventures. This tab will be adventures. So right here is where I'm going to be putting, currently also using canva.com. I've created a document called like our family adventures. And if we do any sort of like field trip or homeschool thing, or maybe I want to capture some photos of us doing some science experiments, I'm going to put those photos and kind of just drop the photos on a page, put the date when we did it, kind of explain what it was. And I'm building that document. And so at the end of the year, I'll just print off however many pages it is, like probably just print it off on our home printer, like nothing fancy. Hole punch it and stick it back here so that you have examples of some of the things we did throughout the year. And that is what her portfolio will be. On the front, I'm going to have that page that shows the 180 days checked off. That will also be included in her portfolio. So that is basically it. I feel like that's a good starting place of what we've been doing. It's really simple. If you have like any questions, even if I have never met you and you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to help. All right, thanks.